Game developers are creative, passionate, and driven. We tackle new technologies and overcome many challenges in the pursuit of our creative vision. At the IGDA, it is our mission to support and empower all game developers around the world. We provide community, mentorship, research, knowledge, and best practices. We're here for you when you need it, so you can advance your career while keeping your health. Join us and help make our industry a better place for all of us, now and in the future. Help make a difference and join the IGDA.
Hello, everyone. Almost started the entire show on mute. I hope everyone is doing spectacularly well in whatever time zone you are in. Currently, the time is 11 p.m. Central Standard Time for myself. So I am very excited to kick off day 3 of Pathfindings 2023. If you're new to the Pathfindings conference, I'll give you a heads up. This conference is made especially to showcase and spotlight the amazing talent of game developers all across the world, but specifically across the global south. Our first 2 days of Pathfindings just wrapped up today, actually, for me still, where we featured game developers across Latin America. And we learned about some amazing things like production and game pitching and IP and esports, some really cool topics, nuanced with regional influences and local ecosystem dynamics. Today, I am thrilled to begin the show for the South Asia and Southeast Asia regions. Our first speaker is going to talk a little bit more about what being a technical artist is all about, sharing his experience with us. So first up, we have Muhammad. I'll bring up Muhammad on screen here if you all can hold just a moment. Let's see, Muhammad, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to just hop off and let you take it away, but we'll get your presentation up in just a moment, and then you're free to go.
Thank you, Jack. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone. If you have any questions for Muhammad during the presentation, please put them in chat. Muhammad may not be able to attend the roundtable right after our first 2 speakers, but we can still take the questions and answer them after the presentation. So, Muhammad, it is all yours.
Hello and assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Mohammed bin Tahir Mir, and I am an animation technical director at Naughty Dog. Thank you for attending my talk, and welcome. This talk is intended for graduate students for the most part, also FSC, metric, OA level students, anybody at the high school level. Honestly, really anybody who's interested in both programming and art on some level. I wanted to keep this very elementary. I will assume no prior knowledge and hope some of you can walk away from this talk thinking, yeah, maybe I can work in animation, or, it's not so impossible after all. This is essentially a talk that I could have really benefited from when I was an undergrad. So yeah, here's to hoping this helps some of you out there. So what will this talk cover? Firstly, a bit about my journey from CS to animation technical direction. I'll share a summary of it, just like how I moved from studying CS in Lahore and never being entirely sure if it was what I wanted to do, and how I discovered and carved a career in technical art from there. I will then provide an introduction to technical art. We'll talk about some of the different branches of the discipline. We'll also do a quick overview of the 3D animation pipeline because that larger context is important to understand tech art. Also, with this talk, what I really want to impart through examples is how technical art really is at the intersection of art and programming. So yes, I've been saying it brings art and tech together, but like how exactly? We'll hopefully get to see later in the talk. And then I'll also be touching upon how we can nurture education initiatives for tech art in Pakistan. We will explore two branches of technical art in a bit more detail and discuss how CS students can engage with them and prepare themselves to take on roles in the entertainment industry. So yeah, a bit about myself. Up until 2017, I really had no idea what technical art was. I was somebody who had drawn his entire life as a hobby, but I never really knew if I could pursue that as an actual career, art of any kind. I was sort of clueless in undergrad. Went into it thinking I'd, major in electrical engineering. Switched to CS because of this one course project where I built a video game based on a sprite animation. But when I was a junior at LUMS, my undergrad university, Mano Animation, a studio in Karachi, had started to become visible in Pakistan. I kept tabs on their social medias and was in awe of this group of Pakistanis making a hand drawn feature film in the country. The same art form I had grown up loving. I sent them an email asking if I could come intern for them, how excited I was about their work, and sent them a collection of just random drawings that I had from whenever. They brought me on as an intern for a month, and that experience sealed it. I knew what I knew what I wanted to do after I graduated, and I joined the studio full time in 2017. So I spent about 1 year at Mano, and during that time, we finished the first 15 minutes of the movie. I was working for them as a traditional animator. We would draw frames by hand. Um, it was all digital, but we were following the traditional animation workflows. This was my first exposure to a studio setting and the traditional animation pipeline. I found so many great friends and peer mentors during my time there. And we would get together to study the principles of animation, drawing fundamentals, just helping each other to constantly improve. Honestly, my biggest takeaway was realizing that you can learn to be better at drawing. More often than not, we tend to believe it's talent, something that you're born with. But there are fundamentals to every discipline, and there are focused exercises that you can do to help you practice those fundamentals. And if you're consistent and put in enough time, you'll undoubtedly get better. That's been my approach since. And whenever I've been faced with learning something new, I always sort of go in and try to identify the fundamentals of that discipline. I strengthen those, and then my experience has been that solutions sort of tend to come from there. The year at Mano, I really improved as an artist, and I was keen to somehow use these new skills in tandem with my programming background. This is what led me to the entertainment technology program at CMU. Um, this program brings together people from all sorts of varying backgrounds, like art, programming, sound, writing, etc., and we collaborate to make games and short films, etc. I focused on technical art during my time at CMU's Entertainment Technology Center. I found that this character technical art provided me the space to best bring together my seemingly disparate artistic and programming skills. We'll discuss how exactly I brought those together, or how character technical art brings these two together a bit later in the talk. But yeah, this is the what you see here, the video. This is the portfolio or demo reel that I had by the end of that program. And I want to emphasize here that formal technical art education is still not very common, even here in the US. Most people are self-taught. They start out either as artists who then build tech skills, or programmers who nurture their artistic inclinations. Um, and this is where really the idea of this talk comes from as well. Just like steps we can take as individuals or institutions to sort of nurture that technical art space within Pakistan or South Asia. Um, so yeah, this was my demo reel, and this demo reel landed me my first job in the games industry at Oxide Games in Baltimore, where I worked on Ara History Untold. My primary contribution during my 2 years at Oxide was to build a significant chunk of the character pipeline for the project. More on what that means later in the talk as well. But yeah, we'll just catch a bit of this trailer and then move to the next slide. Game comes out this year, I think. But yeah, so about 2 years at Oxide, and I then joined Naughty Dog as an animation technical director, where I contributed to the remake for The Last of Us Part 1. And as an animation TD, my primary responsibilities at the studio are to design and build the pipeline, workflows, and tools that the different animation departments at the studio require. So that was a bit about my journey, and how I sort of pivoted from computer science to technical art or animation technical direction. There's a lot of interchangeable terms for the same roles within the industry. So yeah, what is technical art? I mean, we've seen some examples and we have a vague idea of how it brings together art and programming. But what does that look like exactly? So technical art is a pretty wide spectrum, and the responsibilities of a tech artist may vary from studio to studio and even department to department. And let's take a look at some examples now. So video games are constantly pushing technology to the limit, and the art in video games is no exception. Things like elaborate physics simulations, seamless open worlds, complex animation systems, hyper-realistic characters, destructible environments. These are tasks that require both artistic sensibility and technical know-how. And the people who can do both art and programming, they're called tech artists. And here on the slide, we see some tasks that a technical artist might perform. This is a very small subset, and we'll only focus on the ones in bold. But to quickly go over what shaders are, which is like the fourth point here, they're simple programs that manipulate pixels of a rendered image or vertices of a 3D mesh. They're used to define materials in games. For example, you need a shader to sort of get the look you need for grass or rocks or water within a game. We will now go over what rigging a character entails, which is the first point on this slide. So what does it mean to rig a character? All right. The character creation pipeline is something, that is a core part of making games. Characters are central to games, and with a heavier focus on narrative in recent years, character tech has also sort of evolved to catch up to support these narrative experiences. So characters, it starts with a concept, right? Art direction, or like the concept art team, gives the 3D modeling team, the character modeling team, a concept of the character, and a 3D sculpt is created using that concept. From the sculpt, we have a more sort of game ready mesh, which you see here on the screen. This mesh is static, but as you all know, it needs to be able to move in the game. It needs to do things. This is where riggers or character technical artists come in. The static mesh is passed on to the rigging department, where it receives further treatment. But simultaneously, the character artists also start to work on the textures for a character. Let's quickly look at textures first. The flat image that you see on the top right of this slide contains all the textures for this character. So the mesh that we saw in the last slide is sort of flattened and laid onto this square map, this square flat image. and on it are painted these textures, which are then applied to the 3D mesh. And what you see here is a very sort of basic version of the textures, just the base colors and some painted shadows. There's a lot more that goes into texturing and achieving looks of different materials, but that's outside of the scope of this talk. So we'll move on to rigging. Okay, so the static mesh is modeled in a neutral pose. Character technical artists now need to give it the ability to move. To do this, they place bones inside the mesh, and these bones influence different parts of the mesh. So when you move a bone, the part of the mesh moves with it. This is done by adjusting the amount of influence each bone has on different parts of the mesh. And this process of painting those weights or painting those influences is called weight painting. But essentially, we're adding these bones as character technical artists, so the mesh is no longer static and it can be used by animation. But these bones can be overwhelming at times. You see, there can be a lot of them for a single character, and it's hard to in, uh, on. I think there's some disturbance. Somebody else. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, bones can be hard to animate, and we often sort of end up with a lot of them. So that's where the next step in character rigging comes in. To make things easier for animators, character technical artists build a series of controls that move the bones in an easy and intuitive way. You can think of this as manipulating the strings on a puppet. So you're not then interfacing with at times hundreds of bones in a character, and you're instead just dealing with the few controls a character rigger provides for you. This rig is what the animators interface with. So this is now handed off to animation, and they use these controls to pose the characters and a series of poses and interpolating between them. That's essentially, that's a crude way to describe animation, but animation is a whole different world. But yeah, this character is now ready to be handed off to animation, and animation can, continue to work on it the way that they need to. Okay, so we still haven't really discussed exactly where and how the intersection of art and technology happens. I mean, we have in a vague way, but let's get to that. Let's say this character needs to move their arms to reach for something in a game or film. How will an animator go about animating that? So let's look at that. We can imagine the animator posing the character like in this video. Let's see if it plays. Okay, there we go. They rotate each control that drives the clavicle, shoulder, and wrist bones until the hand is in the place that it needs to be. They're making use of forward kinematics here. And it's essentially calculating the world space of the end effector, which is the wrist in this case, based on the locations of the joints that come before it in the chain. Those joints being the joints in the elbow and the shoulder and the clavicle. So we can say that we're using an FK solver here to compute the final location of our character's wrist. Next slide. Another more intuitive way is to use inverse kinematics, where the end effector's location determines the location of the components in the chain. I think I have the wrong video here. That's my bad. But like, just imagine instead of manipulating all the different controllers, all the different controls on the arm to get the hand to the place that it needs to be, you just directly move the controller for the wrist to place the hand where it needs to be, and the joints that come before the wrist in the chain just follow automatically. And there are that's more intuitive. That sort of makes more sense if the character needs to reach, where you know what the end position of the wrist is, and you just directly sort of place the wrist control there, and the rest just follows. And then there's occasions where you need to switch from IK to FK. There's different use cases, but all of this requires an understanding of linear algebra, FK especially, because it's manipulating objects in a 3D space. So navigating that 3D space and understanding of matrices, vectors, this linear algebra is of course part of almost every CS curriculum. This is one example of how CS and programming comes into play. And you can of course decide where on this spectrum you want to lie as a TA. You can use the FK or IK solvers that different 3D packages like Maya, in which the 3D world operates for animation for the most part. You can choose to use the native solvers that come with software, or you can go deeper down the technical side of things to sort of write your own solvers or understand the math behind these solvers. So this is where we get like a taste of the tech component of technical art. Moving forward. So yeah, where is the art part? What's an example of the art component in character technical art? So a very significant component of character tech art is to achieve pleasing deformations on a character. A lot of games require hyper-realistic characters, and that demands from character technical artists to be really familiar with the human anatomy if you're dealing with human characters. This, of course, is dependent on the art direction of the game, et cetera, et cetera. But you need a strong understanding of how muscles deform, what effect that has on the skin, what that looks like, how clothes crease, and what's the science behind it. And then, that's where your artistic sensibilities come in. And of course, to sort of the execution of all of that, that's where, that's again an example of how tech is involved. And there's several cloth solvers, there's muscle solvers, and again, you decide where you lie on the spectrum of tech and art. If you want to be more art heavy or tech heavy, that's a decision that you can make while being in the space. And I kept using the word solver. A solver is essentially an algorithm that computes things or positions a certain way. The IK solver, for example, where the inverse kinematics solver that we talked about, where you place the wrist somewhere and then it computes based on the algorithm that it's based on, where the elbow is going to lie. All right, moving forward. So we talked about character technical art. Let's look at another branch of technical art, which is pipeline technical art. So making a game involves a lot of interdependent work. Okay, I just realized that the text here is from the previous slide. Please ignore that. But yeah, so making a game involves a lot of interdependent work, a lot of collaboration, which often leads to a lot of files, a lot of handing them off, a lot of receiving them. Even on a small team, it can be pretty hard to stay organized. And there's a constant flow of files being created, edited, handed off between teammates. This whole process is called the game development pipeline. Now, tech artists come in and they manage this pipeline. They create clear channels, processes, and tools that help developers exchange files in clear, more organized, and faster ways. And tons of people are editing the game at the same time. So this pipeline becomes absolutely essential. And tech artists that deal with pipeline or tools, they are dealing with massive code bases, right? They're dealing with lots of code, lots of tools. And here, what is important to be careful about is making sure that the code that you're writing as a technical artist is extensible, it is future-proof, and it is following certain standards that make it readable and legible and usable by other people, by people other than yourself. Concepts of object-oriented programming come in, inheritance, composition, all of that is used within these code bases to ensure those standards. Um, and yeah, this would be the tech component, and the art component for pipeline tech art would be to be intimately familiar with the artist's workflows. More often than not, pipeline technical artists have worked as artists in the past, and they're familiar with the processes or workflows, or the ongoings of an artist, and they're just like able to use their technical knowledge to sort of streamline those processes or automate those processes. Another sort of more I guess, objective example, or like an objective skill set a pipeline technical artist can have, is familiarity or understanding of Maya architecture. Maya, of course, being the 3D package that is most widely used within the animation industry. Yeah, the Maya comes with its own set of APIs and its own set of libraries, which, as any software engineer, like any other software engineer, you can become familiar with and learn and become comfortable with. And that would put you in a prime position to be, eligible for several pipeline tech art positions in the industry. So yeah, just learn about the animation pipeline, go through the process manually, sort of get together with friends. There's several courses online. And as a CS student, I feel like you already have so many of the skills required as a tech artist. You just need to sort of you need to apply those CS skills in an animation context. And then you build an understanding of the animation pipeline, of the artist's workflows, and you're on your way to becoming a tech artist. So yeah, technical art, and how can we sort of nurture education initiatives or just like tech art initiatives in Pakistan. So yeah, like I said, somebody who's studying CS in Pakistan, linear algebra is a very common course most CS students, almost all CS students would take. So is software engineering. They're familiar with a lot of programming languages. They're familiar with several APIs, several libraries. They're used to sort of going through documentation for APIs. So they have the ability to pick up a new API, etc. So at the end of the day, it's just a question of how to apply those CS learnings in an animation context. Familiarity with the animation and character creation pipelines will make the applications of CS in animation more obvious. And how can you build that familiarity with animation and the character creation pipelines? I think the easiest way to do so is to sort of immerse yourself in game dev. Just like game jams are a great place to start. It's essentially a hackathon, but you build a game in a short period of time. People get together. This is something that you can sort of arrange as part of like a student collective at your institution, in school, at university. As a CS student, you can talk to your professors to include an art component into your course projects. Sort of think about how that component can be incorporated, what your learnings through this project will be, and how that will sort of move you closer to a career in tech art, make you more familiar with the art side of things. So yeah, talk to your professors, get student groups going. And there's so many documentaries about like game dev and tech art online, which I highly recommend. Uh, the Last of Us, the making of The Last of Us, is a great documentary that's been on YouTube for a while, and it goes into all of the behind the scenes for how games are made, the different components involved. And one recommendation that I always have for students is to not get up in learning the tools too much. So Unity and Maya, for example, they're just tools. Being familiar with their UIs, having a very sort of mechanical approach of pressing buttons in a certain order to achieve an end, is not what you're aiming for. This is what most online courses will this is the approach that most online courses will take. But try to go beyond that. Try to identify the fundamentals of a discipline. What is it that really makes that discipline? Is it an understanding of linear algebra in the case of tech art, character tech art? Um, do you need to be matrix manipulation? Is that it? Just try to get to the core of things, and always think about why you're doing a certain thing when you're following these online courses, etc. Tech art, like I said, follows a lot of its fundamentals from CS, and this talk hopefully conveyed some of that a tiny bit. But yeah, another thing I highly recommend is to keep an eye on job descriptions for tech art. Just understand what's required, and try to sort of let that seep into the work that you're already doing as a student, the course projects, just interactions within student communities. Try to nurture that space. And that was my talk. These are my contact details. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I am unsure if we are taking questions for now as well, which I'm happy to take.
Mohammed, thank you so much for that amazing talk and that amazing overview, especially at that, really good introductory level for folks who really do have a knack for both talents, like both programming, art, and then being able to intersect those talents and put them together. Really fantastic overview. Thank you so much for that. I hope those who watched, if you're not a technical artist, but you're very much now interested in putting your powers to the best of their abilities, feel free to pop in a question. We actually did have one question I wanted to pose, and I'll put it on the screen right now. Hoxie 3D, sorry if I said that wrong. As a former employee at an indie studio, it feels like we were all technical artists. Haha. Yes. Also, considering most of this talk is about rigging, I'm curious what your thoughts, and I think they probably wrote that while you were discussing the rigging parts. I'm curious what your thoughts are on sites like Mixamo or even the auto rigging in Maya. Does it create difficulty in selling yourself to potential employers? Do you use tools to get a running start, or do you start fresh from a blank canvas character?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think part of the answer lies in sort of where on the spectrum of tech art you want to sort of lie on. A lot of people will not focus on rigging and use existing tools, and this depends from studio to studio as well. If you're an indie studio and you don't have the resources or time to invest in a proprietary pipeline for building those characters, and if you're using just like off the shelf engines like Unity or Unreal, it might not be worth it to invest in a whole pipeline to build those characters from scratch. But if you're a more specialized studio with the resources and time to sort of, create that proprietary character creation process for yourself, something that works for your studio, especially if you have like a custom engine, so again, this works. This sort of depends on where you're working, the scale of the project that you're working at, and about your question regarding if using these already available auto riggers, or like using them to build your portfolio, if that sort of puts you in a worse place when applying to studios. Again, I'll go back to just the idea of building those fundamentals. If you have the fundamental know-how of why you're doing a thing, or why this auto rigger that already exists does a thing a certain way, and you're able to sort of break that down and sort of recreate that when or if the need arises, and you're able to display that on your portfolio, you're set. um, but yeah, you don't want to be absolutely dependent on an already existing tool, where if the need arises for a feature that that tool does not provide, you're stuck in the water. You want to be able to use those fundamentals that you have to sort of derive a solution from there. That was it.
Amazing response. That like really directly answered it, but also gave a lot of foresight into developers who are approaching this. So thank you so much. If anyone else has any other questions, please feel free to write them in the chat, and we can highlight them for just another 2 minutes or so, and then we will transition to our next speaker. But in the meantime, Mohammed, that was fantastic. It's funny because I'm like neither an artist nor a programmer, so I'm always amazed by the wizardry and the magic that you can create. So yeah, it was a really cool talk. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't look like we have any questions, so we will go ahead and transition out there. And yes, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, this is Pathfindings 2023. Mohammed just spoke about technical art and being a technical artist, and all of these talks will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you missed it or came in late, you'll be able to watch the entire thing here at the end of the week. Mohammed, thank you so much, and we will see you all in just a bit. Hang tight. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging tight as we are transitioning speakers. If you're just now joining us, hi, so nice to connect with you. I'm Dr. Jake Vela. I'm the Executive Director of the International Game Developers Association, the IGDA. We are hosting Pathfindings 2023, a conference that highlights and showcases developers across the global South. For the last 2 days of Pathfindings, we showcase and feature developers in Latin America. Today, we are highlighting and showcasing devs in South Asia and Southeast Asia. We just heard from Mohammed about the ins and outs of technical art. Super insightful. And that's what I love about this conference. It brings so much insight, so much wisdom and knowledge, but it can also contextualize and bring nuance to these topics and these disciplines with cultural influences and elements, regional impacts. So thank you so much for tuning in. For our next speaker, we have Akash Roy, who'll be talking about immersive narratives for environmental awareness and personal resilience. We'll bring Akash up to the stage now in just a moment. Hey, Akash. Thank you so much for being here. So for your presentation, do you have a screen to share or a slideshow to share that you'd like to put up on screen?
Yep.
Great. Go ahead and perfect. I see it now. Well, Akash, I'm going to bounce out and let you take the mic. So, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights. I'm really excited to learn more about the immersive narratives element that you've got going on. So, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shakil. And thank you, the IGDA Pathfinding, for giving me this opportunity. Namaste, everyone. I'm Akash Rai, and I'll be presenting the talk on crafting immersive narrative for environmental awareness and personal resilience. So, first, small uh, bio about me. I'm Akash Rai. I'm from India. I grew up in a small town called Barwani in Madhya Pradesh, and I really love that town. Um, I am from the computer science background. I love computer graphics and the game development, and as someone who's learning to draw, I love to talk more thing about the games, but never actually work on it. Well, that's just a joke. I'm kidding. So I'm a PG game developer for last 4 years. I've been working as a professional in the industry. I'm Unreal authorized instructor. I provide corporate trainings and mentorship. I'm IGDA member as well, thanks to the IGDA. Uh, I'm a mentor and I'm Unreal community chapter lead for Indo City. Some personal projects I have worked on are the Atomic Heart, Red Falls, Plutonians. Mostly I work on the render pipeline as a developer. And then some personal projects like the 3D audio luminance game, it's just for the competition, some short movie competition, and the last, it's a mobile optical system. I work for the US Aviation Military in recent. So we are from the BYBS, which stands for the BO Best Self. We have our game producer, Dr. Stefania Maji, who's the main person behind all this talk and this whole project. We have Sebastiano Pochi, lead researcher and the narrative designer. As I am a lead game developer, and this is Saurav, who's leading the FX and environmental artist for the project. So, into this topic, we're going to cover a journey beyond the gameplay, uh, price, odyssey, climate change, and awareness, non-violent combat and emotional growth, environmental exploration, the gamify anxiety reduction, and the tapestry of the impactful storytelling. So, without just wasting any second, let's jump on the topics. So again, thank you so much for this platform, and I'll just share some of the progress here. So the journey from the gameplay. What is a Kibu? So Kibu is a game. Kibu, the Guiding Light. It's third-person PC action adventure game, which is appropriate for like all the audience. Like we don't have any age restriction, so it's from small children to the grandparents. To be honest, the game is set on a Earth-like planet, which is in the firework galaxy, which has set in the million light years from our galaxy. And what you see here, these are the mochis. They are the inhabitants of the humans. So just like the humans, they it's their planet, and we're going to know more about the mochis and the key. So the transformation goal of the game is to reduce the ego anxiety and increase the motivational to act towards the climate crisis and how to resolve it, because we all aware like the climate uh, change is really happening and we are so much worried about it. So this game, the Kibu the Guiding Light, is all about how you can cope with a day basis situation or the climate related issues. So what exactly the immersive storytelling? So when we talk about the immersive storytelling, we essentially diving into stories in a way that feels incredibly real and captivating. It's more like you are just feeling or you're just living that particular character. You're just be present in that moment. And now, like, what makes the exciting is that this immersive story are not just about the entertainment; they go much further and they touch us emotionally. So, as you can see, this is a game called The Life is Strange, like one of my favorite game, I can say. In this game, again, like we don't have any like fighting or shooting kind of mechanism in there, but it's just a narrative based game. You can time travel the narration with a different choice and the different storyline, and you can make a different, like character relation, like how you want your story to be. And the most important part is like the players are very engaged, not only in the central mystery, but also in shaping the narrative through their decisions. So that's where that's the so-called the immersive storytelling. One of the other game is The Last of Us. Like everyone knows, like how emotionally or like or the story goes. Um, it has a deep emotional, and you can see the bonding or the connection between the players and characters. Players are very emotional invested in this story, basically, creating a memorable and impactful gaming experience. Then Red Dead Redemption 2, again, like this is more like the shooting game. We have a lot of action, but in terms of immersive storytelling, it's a rich open world and narrative driven. So, what exactly like you can make your own choices. Like you can make the whole different storyline from the other character. Like you don't have to follow the same thing, and that makes you like to be in the moment. What you're doing, what you have done in the past, it will reflect in the future as well. So when you play the game, you feel like part of living. You're breathing in the world, and you're making a decision that had profound impact on the unfolding story. One of my favorite games, again, it's Sauna Sacrifice Hellblade. As we know, like it has a deep exploration of mental health issue through the game. The protagonist's personal journey. We can feel it, how they are, like dealing with all these issues. Again, the player gains a unique perspective on the mental health, making the experience both emotional and through provoking. So that's why the immersive storytelling is very important. Again, it's not just for the games. You can learn through the stories as well. Like I think about like how stories have been timelessly way for human to learn. For example, it's an ancient myth to modern novels. Stories as a natural vehicle for information. Um, that means like you can learn about the historical events, scientific experiments, concept, cultural diversity, and through a captive storytelling, we can all present this thing. Even in the educational sector as well. Uh, just for an example, instead of using a textbook, if we can use any of this medium, like the game or any other immersive platforms, to teach the subjects or to present the topics, like we know, like watching a video or playing a game or interacting with that thing, that has a great impact on the human mind. So this can be done using this immersive storytelling. So when we are talking about the immersive storytelling, we are able to connect emotionally with that particular things, and they can teach us something valuable. It's getting like lost in a great book, but with the added dimension of the activity participation in the story, and that makes this experience so powerful and the memorable. We're going to move on the keys odyssey, or like what exactly the mochis are. So you're seeing the different appearance of the characters. These are the mochis, and one of the character is our main character called Guy. You can see he, so fine. So introducing a mochi. Mochi are the inhabitants of the Kibu, um, who have like their lifestyle is more like technical, or we can say they live in the modern society. Like they are adopted the high end technical devices, or more like in the sci-fi world. We have some ancient culture with us, like to maintain the balance on that particular planet, and we're going to discover that thing as well. So what makes a mochi? So mochi has its five tenets: the mindfulness, um, implementing climate catastrophic necessities. Our response should be very rise from intentional. So Mochi stand for all these five tenets, like the mindfulness, the optimistic, compassionate, healing, and innovation. So just like what makes a human as a human, these five tenets makes Mochi as a Mochi. Um, Again, who's a Kai? Kai is a young Mochi on Akibu, which is a planet, and was about to increase a motivation to act towards the resolution of the climate crisis. Basically, someone who is going to initiate something in that journey. We used to call a tale of hope in the broken world, um, or more like the hope of prey. Um, Mochi is an extraordinary journey in a world that been seen better days. Um, think the Kai, or the main character, as your virtual companion, like the character we have in every favorite stories. And these mochis are very small, but they have a big journey ahead. Um, our main character's journey on a Kibu, again, was going to make a moment in that world. Then we have the impact on the climate change. So as you can see on the image, like that planet also, like dealing with climate crisis. Again, just like the human, emojis have used the resources that much, and now again, as we know, like every action has a consequences, but we have to come to that balance where we going to maintain all this, environmental resources in a better way. So picture a planet that's been through a lot, like facing a catastrophe that could change everything. The more like our character is stepping into the desolated world, and their path is far from very easy. Um, Again, our journey is going to show us how delicate the balance of the environment can be, and what our contribution will impact on that thing, or like how it brings the either the consequences or some school journey. Um, Personal challenges and a mental resilience. As our main character moves in the challenging landscape, they encounter different obstacles that reflect the damage caused by the ecological collapse, or maybe some mochi mates. Guy's journey is not just navigating physically challenge, but also the emotional one. Um, you can think like he's in the journey of his own struggle, like dealing the mental health and the physical space issues as well. So, how is going to impact on the mental and the emotional resilience? So, as we can know, like we can see through the slides, like the planet is just like the Earth, like, or you can say it's just like a mirror planet of the Earth, and they have the same feelings just like the humans. So we are going to witnessing the environmental uh, crisis on that planet, and it's like going through a very tough time and trying to stay strong. And Owen's like Kai's story reflects how the state of the world affect their emotional and mental resilience. In this journey, we're also going to show like how to coping with the different emotions into the positive. So emotional growth and hope, basically, if we have to mention, these are the very important part in our guys' emotional journey. So coping with the different emotions, just like the guy faces the roller coaster of the emotion, like sadness, frustration, maybe even a bit of fear. These emotions aren't brushed aside; they're part of the journey, and it's like acknowledging our own feeling during the tough time. So we have to adopt all these different kind of emotions, and the guy is going to learn a lot. Like what are the different emotions are there, and how to share our own feelings about the climate crisis and how we're dealing the mental health. But there's a inspiration part. Like Kai doesn't just dwell into the negativity or on the sad part. He go through a process of turning different emotion into something positive. Like that's what we, all humans do. Like we cannot just stop or like be sad on this particular thing. It's like finding a hope and a motivation even in challenging circumstances. Guy's emotional growth become a beacon of resilience and positive thinking. So this way, he can bridge the gap between the mega cities or like the people who live in the cities and with the forest people. Not the forest people, but like who are connected with the nature. Then um, the next thing is the climate change awareness. As we know, like everything has changed. Like even on the earth, like everything is changed. Uh, Not everything, but like we can say like a lot of things has been changed because of the climate thing. Now we have to face the immediate and the long-term consequences. So again, like even in the guys were affected, there's you can see everything has been changed. Like they're dealing with the flood, earthquake, and some natural disasters. Now, how we are going to deal the immediate and the long-term consequences? As we can see, guys were shows us what happened when the climate goes a bit higher. There are immediate problems like things looking a bit broken and messy, but there are also long-term consequences that linger. It's like looking at the impact of the big event on the place and thinking like how it changed. Things all good. Guys going to explore a different environments. As you can see in the map, like we have a different region in this planet, and they're dealing with a different kind of disaster. For example, let's say some are dealing with the landslide, flood, heavy rain, um, or something like that, like the industrial waste and like soil affected. So different places have a different story. So our guy is on a diverse environment and he's going to explore a different set of landscape. In the various environment, Kai is going to explore, and each location or the landscape has a unique story about what happened to the world. And it's like exploring a variety of scene in a movie. Like you're just looking um, like there's an earthquake, everything has been down to the ground, and on the other end, you're going to see like everything is filled with the water because of the tsunami or some other natural disaster. So Um, these phenomena just randomly. They show us a specific aspect of what climate change can do and how it's affecting the lives there. Um, this all desolating pollution and the economy shifts. Again, in one place, character might be surrounded by the desolations, like where it feels like a bit empty and sad. In other, there could be a sign of pollution, or it's like the world trying to shake off the mess you have made. Uh, Character or guy might be also encounter shifts in natural ecosystem, like seeing how the nature is adapting and struggling after the big changes. So how we gonna deal or how we gonna manage or encounter this changes. So there we have a non-violent combat and emotional growth. Again, it's not just like the other game where you have to fight with the enemies and you be a hero. So there are the unique way to face a challenge. We just name it out like no punches, just hits. And what it means, like we come through the environmental combat challenge, uh, just think like this is a very small character or little character who's facing foes or the enemies. But here's the twist: like these aren't a typical enemies you punch or fight because this is nation disaster. For an example, let's say if the tsunami is coming, like how the character is going to punch the tsunami, or like if there is a volcano eruption, so how he's going to stop? Like he's not a Superman or he's not like Iron Man or kind of thing. So we have to deal all this situation in a very unique way. Again, which relates to the real world situation. So again, just for an example, the guy is against the pollution condition adversaries, like the bad guys influenced by the environmental mess. Um, it's a bit like dealing with the foes that are more like a problem we want to solve than things we want to hit. So if I have to give an example, just take our daily life basis, like we have to take care of our own responsibilities, or let's say the mess we create. So if we deal with it properly, then we can overcome the problem and find a solution for it. So same thing happened with Kai. Then resolving a conflict without a violence, that's a bit tricky because what's cool in this particular game, like Kai doesn't resort to violate, like no punching or no hitting. Instead, they use these mods to deal with the pollution influence challenges or what is happening in the nature. It's like saying, hey, we can solve this thing without getting aggressive or without making any more mess, basically. So Kai shows us a different way to face the problem, something like use the brain or brawn. So we have a lot of different situations where we have to deal with a different kind of enemies. So enemies is not those super villains from any superhero or the comic book. So these are the real life, or you can say uh, our own problems. Those are the enemies. So we cannot just kill them or we cannot just get rid of them. Instead of we try to resolve it, solve it, and like to make a use of it. Here are some games like which use the non-violent mechanism, or you can say the combat. Basically, the Forest is a great example where uh, it's a narrative-driven adventure game where we take on the route to fire, lookout, and the jungle or the forest. Again, the game doesn't feature a combat, but focus on exploration, storytelling, and the development of the characters' relationship. We have another game called Short Hikes. Like this is another game which is more like the relaxing exploration where player controls the bird exploration on the island. while again like there is a no combat, and the game involves overcoming a challenge and assisting other characters or the other NPCs. We have Street Fighter again, um, no killing or no fighting or no dealing any damage in this thing. So it's just interactive storytelling that involves comforting and assisting spirits in their journey. Outer Wild is again another example. It's an exploration game set in the solar system, where we just stuck in a time loop. While we are not focused on the combat encounters, sorry, while we have fights, yeah, so no fighting mechanism. Instead of we are focused on the encounters with the environmental challenges that requires a creative problem solving mechanism or thinking. So again, it's more like the player navigating the puzzles, just investigating the anomalies, and collaborating with other environmental assets to make the progress. Um, this works. You can see these are the enemies. So as I told you, like these are not from the comic book. Like someone came from the other universe to harm our universe. These are the nature-based pollution. Or let's take an example. If I have to give a name, so these are the like pollution we create, uh, like, and that is harming the nature. So again, like you cannot just kick the dustbin because like it's been a week and no one has taken care of the waste there. So something like that. So all these environmental enemies, or you can say our villains in the story, they are the natural enemies. So but they are more like the poison or the venomites. So we have to, like make sure like they get back to the nature in the safest manner, or like we can reuse them. It's something like you are recycling them and reusing them. So again, we just wanted to make sure like they look something, a bit scary and cute at the same time. So there. So the strategic thinking in the action. Again, when our character, the guy faces these enemies, it's not about just doing the same thing over and over, or it's like a puzzle. Like each encounter requires a different strategy, or like you have to think strategically different every time because every problem has a different solution. You cannot use the same solution for the every problem. Imagine like you are trying to outsmart a tricky opponent, like figuring out how the best movement to overcome the challenge. It's all about using your brain power and your methods for solving that particular problem. The very important thing, like when you're solving the problem, is like patience. The more you patience, the best or the great way you can solve the problem. So like it's just like you have to calm down at the same time. Like you cannot just make another mistake, or like uh, there's no solution for using or creating another problem at that moment. So these encounters aren't about like quick fix or easy win. Like we have the challenges, we need a patience to solve that problem. It's like saying like hey, okay, let's take your time. Think it's true and find the best solution. So some problem requires a bit more time than the other, and we have to let it be. So it's not just about rushing in. It's about being smart and patient in the face of difficulties. Again, as we encounter our different like difficulties in real life, we ourselves feel like okay, there is emotional growth and personal growth, and we can see the same thing happen with the our character or the motifs basically. So the more problems they see, the more encounters they have with the nature, the more they are learning and they are growing at the same time. So it's more like feeling stronger from the inside, and which is more like you can see in the emotional growth the conflict resolution. So, Kai's environment journey is now a special part because we are going to play this character. So we have to know like how he's feeling and there's connection between us and the character. So every time Kai faces this challenge, it's not just about solving a puzzle or running out of or stepping out of the problem or just keep them away. It's about growing emotionally and resolving that particular problem. So picture it like Kai is gaining emotional muscle. Like each encounter is a chance for Kai to handle their feelings, fear, and come out stronger. Because like it says, like you fear once, you fear twice, but then you overcome it. Like you get stronger and stronger every time. And then positive emotion and the conflict resolution. Like the cool thing is like the character doesn't shy away from the emotions. Like they use them positively. Like what I mean positively, like so when things getting tough, it's like saying again, like, hey, it's okay to feel this way, but let's turn this feeling into something positive. Like it's a bit like turning a challenge into opportunities for personal growth and becoming emotionally resilient. So it's just like converting something in a better way for our goods and for the nature. So again, the environmental exploration, which feels like it's just more than a walk in the park. Like you're not just going to explore the world and that's it. Like it's your world. Whatever you do in the world, it's your responsibility. And if you do something wrong, again, there are consequences. And the planet is already suffering from it. So you cannot do something, like blindly. So you have to take care of it, and at the same time, or later, it will take care of you as well. So when you say it's not just a walk in the park, so what exactly we mean? So we have the nature-centric challenges like adventurous hike to the desolated planet. Along the way, we are challenged, like just not, you know, some are inspired by the nature environments. Again, like as we said, like it's a replica of Earth, so we might see the same effects or like same crisis there as well. So it's in other words, it's like let's explore this world and let nature to be our guide in the challenges we face, and we can fix or try to fix at least. In that exploration, we will have the objectives, we will have the puzzles and other duties to play. Like if something is wrong, you have to fix it. Like it's kind of your responsibility when you're playing the game to see something which is not in the good way or has to be done in a proper way. Just go and do it, and then you can see the result at the later sometime. So again, these challenges aren't just a random obstacle. Like as I already mentioned before, like each one has a purpose. They are unique and a quest or a mission that guy needs to fulfill its own emotional or the personal growth because he's on a journey to make himself evolve and like to be connected with the nature. Or it's like having a different mission from solving the problems or to jump between one problem to other and how we approach the solution for that as well. So again, it's all blending into one parent. It's not just about running around. It's about using your brain and skill to navigate the planet and fix what needs to be fixed. Again, some different art style. Like again, we just wanted to make it more like cute for the audience so that they can adopt at the same time, like they feel how to say, like responsible towards the nature. Like I cannot let this planet die or feel another catastrophic event or make it harm some in some other manner. So again, like we have the environmental education in action, and again, you can learn while playing. So you can learn about the different regions, different landscape, and how things live there. So again, like let's say the objective based tasks, like each quest we are going to encounter, it has its own goal. Like it could be anything from finding a hidden spot or understanding how the environment works, or like again, like this objective aren't just for fun. They're like a little lesson teaching us how the planet and the impact of the catastrophes. So again, like as you play, you also learn how the world and its challenges we are going to see. So again, like it help you to like make your mental health grow at somehow, and again to unveiling the planet's history. Like again, like every planet has its history. Like for us, like okay, there are millions years ago there are the dinosaurs and they're extinct now. Then the planet again started from the scratch or from the zero, and now we can see like it's civilized. So we have to understand like what is Kiwi and what's its history, how we came to this point where we are seeing a lot of the catastrophe and the crisis. So the cool part is like when you complete this quest and solve the puzzle, it's like peeling back, like a layer of the planet's history. So the more you solve the puzzle, the more you interact in the world, the more you get to know about the world. And again, like the more you get to know, you fall in love with the planet, the whole nature. And that's how that's one of the way to, like make a connection with nature. And again, like it's been like putting together a puzzle where each piece reveals a part of the bigger picture. And as you explore, you're not just going to play a game. You're uncovering a story of the world you're in. And again, uh, the more you explore, the more you learn, because we already discussed like how it's connecting with the nature and the whole planet history. So again, there are reward system in the environmental exploration. Again, like it's not like some like the reward means like you'll get to unlock or like unreveal some previous or the secrets of the planet or the generation or something on the story. So again, the best part, like every time you conquer quest or puzzle, and obviously we get something in return. But it's not just about the points or the price or the achievements you unlock or things you upgrade. It's about gaining insights. So you start to understand like why the world is the way it is now and how the catastrophe affects its inhabitants. Um, it's like saying, hey, the more I explore, the more I get to know about this world and the challenges I face. And then I can, find a proper or the best solution to deal with all these things. And again, like as we play, it's not just about finishing the level or finishing the small missions or just going from point A to point B. It's about fostering a deeper understanding of the environment. Like you're not just running through the landscape. Again, like sorry, you're experiencing a story and learning valuable lesson about the impact of the climate crisis. And it's like adventure. That's not just fun, but also makes you think like about the world around you. So in other way, like somehow you feel responsible towards it and you start getting the surrounds basically. Then the next topic is like the gamified anxiety reduction, because again, like even in the game, like sometimes we get frustrated, like how the story is driving. Like sometimes you didn't finish the quest or puzzle, like you get frustrated. That's just the game part. But what about the real life situations? Like how you're feeling right now? Like even it's like the heat waves, heavy rain, flood, tsunami, earthquake, or any other thing. So how your mental health is, again, like at least we can give you this thing, like you will feel good when you play the game, or you can say a game for your well-being. I know like there are a lot of other games which are specific for your mental health and your well-beingness, but again, uh, we have interaction or the interactive emotional wellness. Like you think like a game is like a friend who do not only entertain you, but also help you to feel better, or like it's designed to do more than just entertain. Like there are other activities you can perform in the game, like that will help you to reduce the anxiety and promote emotional well-being. So as you play, it's like a little boost to your mood and resilience. So I remember a game like the Altos Adventure. So for example, when I was uh, like when I first and discovered the game, like I was having this examination stress. So there's a mode called Zen mode. So when you go into that mode, like you just kind of try to be in that moment, like you forget about everything, and that makes you calm. So same thing, like not exactly the same, but we have a different mechanism or activities that makes you feel like boosted and calm at the same time. Again, we have a fun way to relax. The coolest part, like you can go to the other mochis and try to replicate their emotions. Like it's just a small activities where you just try to understand like what those people are feeling. So when you successfully uh, copy the emotions, I mean, there's no reward, but yeah, you unlock something, like, yeah, you get to know about that other, like what he's feeling and what's the, like how they're dealing with this situation. And maybe like you can help them. And again, so many other things. And again, the impact on your experience. So as we can say, what we are doing, like it has some impact, like whether you're playing a game where you just have to kill, shoot, you feel yourself like aggressive, or like if you're uh, playing some more like a meditative game, like you feel like your inner soul is boosted, or you are get motivated, or somehow you are relaxed. So again, whatever you do, like you have impact on your own, um, on self basically. So again, as we said, like we incorporate with the techniques that help you to relax and de-stress, but it does in a fun way. Like it's not like a traditional relaxation app. It's more like playing a game. Imagine things like guiding guided breathing exercise or moments of mindfulness, seamless woven into the gameplay. It's like saying like, hey, let's take a moment to chill, but let's do in a way that's enjoyable and engaging. So that's the whole motives behind um, your like stress reduction or the anxiety reduction. And as you can see, like the expressions and the colors are being changed. So these are more like uh, showing our own emotions. Like as you can see, like the guy doesn't have hands, they doesn't. They only have eyes and the legs. So like it's easy. Like it's not easy to read what they are thinking, what's going on in their life. So they only use the eyes to express themselves and the color, like how they are feeling. And again, like there is a way to mastery all this emotional representation. It's not easy like you do it all the you get to know all the emotions in a one day or like in few minutes of the gameplay. So these are the challenges like you have to like help your main character to adopt or evolve or like unlock these emotions, these feelings, all these powers basically. So again, um, as we say, like your well-being is your reward. So the reward is like, as I say, like it's not just about the points or uh, any achievement systems. So in simple terms, like the game is just a game. It's a buddy or a best friend that help you to feel better, or it's like playing your way to calm a state of mind. Or it's not about a winning or losing condition. So again, like if you lose in the game, there's no, like you have to restart from the beginning. Like, okay, that's fine. Just give it a try. Like, try again. It's more like that spider who's trying to build a web, who's falling down, but every time it's, like keep going up and start building that way until it's completed. So you keep trying until you succeed. And that's how you resolve the problem or overcome a solution. So again, like it's not just a game or it's not just you know a typical game. So, but also good for you to play in your own way. Then um, again, the tapestry of impactful storytelling, like what really matters in a game, like as we discussed, like we have a mission to explore the surroundings and try to fix all these things in the nature in a very realistic manner, like where you adopt, you learn all this different circumstances and try to find a solution according to that. So think of everything we have talked about is just ingredients in a recipe. Uh, we have explored how the game is more than just a game, right? So it's a story that weaves together environmental awareness, personal strength, mental health, and again, it's not just about playing, or like completing a mission or just exploring the world. It's all about understanding the world, facing the challenges, and growing emotionally. So again, we have a player impact and engagement. Like now you think like playing the game. It's just about moving characters on the screen. Like when we play the game, so we are going from one destination to other to unlock or unveil the other issues. So, but it's about feeling connected. Again, these elements we have discussed like environmental awareness, emotional resilience, coping with the other emotions or other situations. That makes the game more than an escape. Again, like uh, they make it an experience that sticks with you, that you engage with on a deeper level. So again, I have used this word like a few times, like it's just more than a game. So we have a real world effects, as you can see, like how it affects, how you are making your world. It really impacts. So what you're learning and feeling in this game, like it's confined, like to the screen, or you can say like it can actually feed into your daily life. The skills and awareness you gain, the way you think about the environment, and the emotional strength you build. These things can be translated into how you act in the real world. It's like a game which preparing you to be more environmentally conscious and emotionally resilient in your own life or in your own way towards the nature or towards your surroundings. So what comes next? Again, the game is in development. We are trying to add more and more encounters, and being connected with the nature, being connected with the other NPCs or the other players, and give you the best of the best experience to the user, and at the same time to make them aware and educate them about the environmental um, caring, to build their mental health, how to boost their positivity, or the inner energy basically. So in the further directions, now imagine it's just the beginning, first chapter or the first chapter of the book. We just have talked, but there's a whole book is going to come out soon, and we are really working hard. We're a small team, but we're trying our best to deliver this great experience to all of you. Um, Again, we have there are takeaways, remember the importance of this elements. Like it's not just about making entertaining a way or a solution or a games. Like it's about making a game that makes that contribute to the broader awareness. As you play and enjoy, also think about the impact these stories can have on other people or on the world or on your surroundings. Like it's a small step in the game, but it can be a giant leap in shaping our consciousness. So again, everything starts from the small and it evolves according to the time, basically. So yeah, we are doing some um, things on our end to reach out to the people, or making initiatives moves to make the better world uh, for the students, the better mental health, and educate them about the climate awareness and the mental health at the same time. So yeah, the Mochi for the Planet is an initiative from BYBS, where we are just promoting all these kind of activities to care about the nature and make a movement, and how to be uh, a good man, how to build a good mental health. So um, these are some initiatives we have done last year. We have a website which I have shared, like the mochifortheplanet.com. You can visit and see like how this initiative has been taken in the world. So uh, we try to reach more and more people. So for that we took an initiative we make a website in a different language for the different countries. For now, we only cover like three or four, but we are we have a small team and we're trying our best to reach out to the whole world and whole genre of the humans, basically, whole race. And again, we the website is right now in English, Hindi, Nepali. We have Telugu, in Telugu language, in French, in French. So yeah, as I told you, we just want to reach out to everyone and just want to help them to build the mental health and make them aware about the nature and take care of each other. Again, the parent company is a BYBS, be your best self. So you can always reach out to us if you have anything or inquiries or kind of anything. Like we're always there for you. So there are some last year's initiatives we had done at IGDC in Indian Developer Conference. Like we introduced the Mochi and the Kivu game and how it's a different step, you know, like uh, in the narrative, like how we can bridge that gap using one of the entertainment mode to reach out to the people, educate them, uh, and help them to build a better space. So yeah, we receive a lot of love from the audience. They really love the concept, and yeah, uh, that's a great thing for us. Like, and again, like some gifts, like takeaways. Like as you can see, like this character with the different emotions and different colors and all. So yeah, like this is one of the way you can communicate between like just the way we use the emojis on our daily basis communication. Like if you're angry, you just use the yellow emoji and put them like I'm angry. So we have our own stickers, like the mochi stickers, like we are planning, like you can use them to share like how you are feeling and all these things. So again, like thank you so much for having me today, and that's it from my end.
Gosh, thank you so much for that in-depth overview of immersive storytelling. I loved how you brought so much of humanity's aspect and life into the design, the overarching experience that you craft and that we can craft. We can take so much of these learnings. So, with that said, we'll now move to our roundtables. To if anyone has further questions or additional comments regarding immersive storytelling, I'll put the link to our Discord. Uh, Oops, I just sent that only to our Twitch stream, but I'll send it to everybody here. And you can join that, and we will be ready to go now. Thank you so much, Akash. And for everyone tuning in, uh, join us on the roundtable at IGDA's Discord. You can join us at discord.gg/IGDA, and we will get to the deep dive in the conversation. We'll be back with in 22 minutes with our next speaker. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are just now reaching our channels at IGDA, I would like to give you the warmest of welcomes to IGDA Pathfindings 2023. Pathfindings is a Global South developer conference. It's an opportunity for us to highlight and showcase the amazing, the exceptional, the awesome talent across the Global South. We spent the last 2 days highlighting speakers from regions across Latin America, and today we're focused on those in and around South Asia and Southeast Asia. It is my pleasure to bring on Minha Farouk for our next talk regarding esports. We'll get Mina on the stage in just a second. Minha, can you hear me okay? Oh, it looks like you're muted, actually.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you great. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us about esports. I'm really looking forward to the insights that you're going to bring to the table. With that said, I will bounce out, put your slideshow up, and once you see that, please feel free to take it away. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome. Hi everyone. I'm Minha. I'm from Sri Lanka. I'm a game developer and a professional mentor at International Game Developers Association. Today I would like to share about esports and the benefits and how you could get a career in esports. And like what are the career path and what roles you can do in esports. What is esports? Esports, electronic sports, is a form of competition using video games. Esports often takes the form of organized multiplayer video games competition, particularly between professionals, players, individually or in teams. Like traditional esports, many esports tend to feature the same structure, such as having leagues, teams, and players. So now I'm going to tell you the difference between the gaming and esports. So gaming is playing video game on any platform or by any means. Esports is gaming but on a competitive level. So you can see on the screen, I have included the pictures of esports. Now we are going to see what are the benefits of esports. Esports embraces students' passion for competitive gaming to foster collaboration, creativity, and inclusion. Participants build strengths in problem solving, teamwork, and communication, as well as team skills. Also, STEM skills, and they get to explore video and sound editing, graphic design, broadcasting, events planning, and more. What are the benefits of games? However, the benefits of video games include improved powers of concentration, creativity, memory, languages, and teamwork. So we can use video games in schools for children and adults uh, to educate them. Video games can make it easier to learn educational contents and develop cognitive skills. So this is one of the game which I did it. I think before 3 years ago, which won an award. So I have like this is an educational game, especially for kids, and this uh, the theme of this is how to care for your pets. So instead of giving books for them, so we could use this video game and give this, so they will like it and they will learn also. Why are electronic sports important? By playing these games, students can learn and develop these important skills in a fun and engaging way. In fact, research has shown that students who participate in esports programs tend to have higher GPAs and better attendance rates. Esports can also help to promote diversity and inclusivity in schools. So even I have used sports like video games when I was schooling, and like it gives you like very positive, like positive approach to your education and other skills too. It is like motivation through games, and currently I'm also conducting classes online for kids using this method. Why do people love esports? Thanks to technology, games can be enjoyed in real time, making them even more desirable. One of the major advantages of esports is they offer better payouts as compared to traditional sports. While traditional sports pay hefty fees to professionals, lower levels players don't earn as much. Can esports make money? Yes. How? The most obvious way to win money through esports is by becoming a professional player who is signed and sponsored by an esport team. Prepare yourself for long hours and intense training, but you will be rewarded with winning titles and lots of money. As per Google information, the top esports professional player has the net worth of $6.9 million. Can I become an esports player? Yes, definitely you can be a esports player. How? You have to develop your skills. To become a professional esports athlete or a player, you need to be the best player you can be. This means developing your skills to the point where you can compete with the best players in the world. Start by playing the game as much as you can and studying its mechanics and strategies. How do I join professional esports, and how do how can I get into esports? Like for this, first choose a game. Before entering the world of esports, it's good an idea to choose a game you enjoy. Choose online communities. You can go to Facebook, Discord channel, LinkedIn, anything. It's easier to meet new people and learn more about the game you are interested in by joining online gaming communities and train yourself and join tournaments. So now I'm going to show you the esports which I won the prize, my first esports in Sri Lanka. So this is a esport. We have to play like more than 1,000 players per day. So I got the high score, and I won a prize. So everyone thought I didn't. They have a misconception about esports and gambling. So they thought I have won the gambling. So it's not gambling. So I didn't spend any money, and no one didn't spend any money. Put any money as a competitor. They didn't do any like give money, but it only focuses on your skills. Like how do you play, the effort you put. For this I more than 12 hours I put my effort, and you should have a lot of like perseverance to achieve a success. So now I'm going to tell you how to like manage a tournament. If you want to do, you can do it by yourself, like esports tournament management. What is esports tournament management? Esports tournament management is a process that involves planning and executing game tournaments. A tournament manager is responsible for ensuring that the event runs smoothly from start to finish, including everything from organizing player registration to scheduling matches to awarding prizes. A manager must have a deep understanding of the game being played and to be able to create a balanced and fair tournament structure that accommodates all the players, so that there will be like differently able players, like disabled, differently able players, and as well as males, females, and transgenders and others. So he or she who is the manager, who is managing the tournament, should like accommodate all of the players and treat them equally, so he or she can do a good tournament. Why is esports tournament management important? Esports tournament management is essential to the success of a gaming event. It ensures that the tournament is organized, fair, and enjoyable for all participants. Without proper tournament management, events can become chaotic and disorganized, leading to unhappy participants and poor reputation for the event. By using professional esports tournament management, you can ensure that your event is smoothly and that players have an enjoyable and fair competition experience. Mm, how do I create an online esports tournament? If you ask me this question, I will be like, first you have to like start it, booking a venue. Starting from book, you can book a venue, then create a registration page, then market your event. You can recruit players, choosing games whichever they like, then provide prizes and like gather equipment which is needed, and you can hire specialty staff for this event. So this is an example for a tournament, a game from a tournament. This is a racing game, car racing. So now I'm going to tell you about esports careers. Esports now offers many jobs, and many of the skills developed in these roles can be transferred to the other careers in tech, digital, and STEM industries. Also, STEAM, from software development to network engineering, marketing, design, branding, and cloud solution, and much more. So these are the esports careers. You can be administrator, producer, HR, marketing professional, gamer, social media side. You can do content creator or a host, and also event manager and community manager. And there are other several roles too. You can do that also. Esports. Just this is the question. Like many of us have this question. Like we want to know about this. Esports only for males? Definitely not. Esports esports male dominated. Esports tournaments are generally open to both sexes, but the professional esports scene is very male dominated. Due to the lack of role models, many female players do not see in esports as a viable career option. Why are there no female professional gamers? You could ask me this question. So, missing models. Esports tournaments are generally open to women and men. However, the esports scene is very male dominated. This applies to players, but also to all other areas such as management or members of esports associations. Women therefore often do not see as a career in as a career in esports as an option in itself. For this, there is a solution. So you could like women, you could make your own like tournaments, and you can ask females to participate. And if you feel men are comfortable with y'all, you can add them too. And others like transgenders, everyone can participate. What skills are needed to succeed in esports? The best esports teams have excellent communication skills. They know how to give and receive instructions, develop team strategies, and support each other through wins and losses. Without good communication in a team, players will find it incredibly difficult to cooperate well with each other. Now, I would like to show you the games which is based on STEAM and STEM, which I created and won a prize for that. And also another game, which is an educational game. So I'll play both the videos. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Thank you so much.
Minha, thank you so much for the overview of esports and getting into the esports industry. And I really appreciate your take on the diversity and inclusion aspect. I think that's especially important for people who want to get into the games industry at all. Um, if we have any questions for Minha, that feel free to drop them in the chat and we can take those. We have a few minutes before we need to transition to our last speaker of today's Pathfindings. But yeah, thank you for bringing up the diversity element. In your experience, and we can talk more about this in the roundtable, but I figure maybe we can just do one question before transitioning. What's the most effective way to make people feel included and to make people feel that sense of belongingness when they're new to the esports industry or in esports field, whether they're a player or whether they're working like in the various aspects that you had outlined in a great way, like HR or production or tournament manager? How can we make people feel welcomed and like they belong?
Yes, like we can like recruit, or like we can hire staff from various fields, various countries, and also remote work, and like everyone, male, female, and transgenders, and anyone, we should treat them equally and give their rights, so everyone will feel comfortable. And if they are
One,
beginners, we could help them how to do, like give a we can make some workshops and train through mentors and like events, so they we can ask them to participate. And first they have to have a good passion to be in this industry. So other things we can do if they have good passion and if they are devoted to their work.
yeah, I think passion is especially important. And I'm so glad you brought up mentorship. I was actually going to ask you about that because you're a mentor for the IGDA mentorship program, if I recall correctly. So, um, how can we engage more mentors and also engage more mentees to know that this is a field that people are knowledgeable about and are willing to help and extend those insights and wisdom to others?
Yes, we could like do some workshop, but we could like introduce a little bit about esports. What is esports, and what are the opportunities in esports? Like how can you get a career in esports, and what are the salary ranges for particularly for a particular country? If you are in this country, what are the salary you will be getting as a beginner, as an experienced player, or in the any other one in the esports. And we could say them like if they are related to STEM or STEAM related subject, that is also like a part of esports. So like if you are like as I did like I have done many games based on STEAM and STEM. So we could ask like other fields to join esports too, like STEM, science, software engineering. Everyone will be like they can come find an opportunity in esports.
Oh,
And
that's
also like
fantastic.
yeah, and when you play a game like especially like this is for gamers who likes to play a game, so they can choose the game they like whatever thing like entertainment game. Like you can, even if you want to relax, like you can find a game which gives you like peace, not the fighting game. So something like we can educate through games about humanity, peace, like that. So everyone will get a benefit, I think.
That's a great idea. I'm on board for that. Like, count me in. Well, thank you, Minha, again so much for the great overview. And for those joining, please feel free to drop into the IGDA Discord for the roundtable discussion. Minha and our next speaker, Javi, will also be there to answer any additional questions and to go further in depth in any of the topics discussed. So, Minha,
Okay.
thank you again so much. And we
Thank-
will be right back as we transition to Javi. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you're
everyone.
welcome, Jackie.
All right, everyone. And we are back. So now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Javi, who's going to talk about something personal that I'm sure many of us have either felt or maybe even experienced. And his title of the talk is I Almost Quit Games, but You Don't Have to. So I'm really excited to bring on Javi and we will get that set up now. So again, right after Javi's talk, we will move to roundtable discussions on the IGDA Discord, and I'll be sure to post that link in the chat so you can click, join in, and deep dive further into the topics discussed today. Javi, take it away.
Hi, everybody. This is my talk. How I almost quit games, but you don't have to. Now, there are always going to be stories and talks of big wins in games. And not, playing games, in the game industry. Of successes and how we got here. Of games miraculously making it big after all the anxiety of not knowing how they'll be received by an audience. Of perhaps younger devs making a massive boom on social media. Or people who drop their day jobs and risk it all to pursue their dreams. These are all amazing things. Miracles and successes. But what I'm here to share today is not that kind of success story. It might even be a failure story depending on who you ask. But for me, it's definitely a work in progress. So hi everybody, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Javi Almirante, or Snack, or Snackbite if you know me online. I'm an indie developer from the Philippines, and I've been making video games for the past 10 years. Wow, I'm old, okay. So, on the indie or personal side, my work includes Dologa, a reverse space shooter that tells the story of the drug war in the Philippines, and Working Tidal, an action RPG bullet hell roguelike where you fight feral fish in the sea of our subconscious. Now, other than my indie stuff, I've worked with teams such as Most Played Games and Boomzap Entertainment, where I mostly did design, mechanics, and level design, as well as writing. These games I've worked on, they're very cool. Nowadays, I work for Monstronauts, where I also help write and design games like Potion Punch 2. You should really check this one out. It's on Google Play and iOS. It is very awesome. Back in 2018, I spoke at Game Developers Conference in San Francisco at Rami Ismail's #OneReasonToBe panel, where I spoke about my experiences as a game developer growing up in the Philippines. See that picture over there? That's me. Outside of games, I like drawing and making cute little mugs. And I've been recently obsessed with Arknights, one of my favorite games. This is going to be important later. Now, most of this talk actually is my story, so it's going to be like going through an introduction and you're getting to know me, so I'll leave the rest of the details for later. So, where does my story begin if I've been in games for like 10 years? I think a nice place to start regarding the talk is around 2019, just about the time when the pandemic hit. Now, at the time, I was working at Boomzap, and right as the pandemic hit, we were going through an incredibly difficult time. I hit a really, really bad slump. Work was difficult. The pay wasn't so good at the time, and people were getting laid off from the team. And I could bear. On top of that, I couldn't see anybody because we were all quarantined at home, right? And when Boomzap laid people off, now this isn't the same as some big company laying off artists because of AI or some new money thing this is because the pandemic had affected our games in ways that we couldn't predict at all. And we were just running out of money. But the thing is, not only was I like feeling really miserable about working on a game I wasn't into but had to do, because that's just how it is in the industry. I was feeling really, FOMO. I felt like I was missing out on all the cool new indie guys doing their own indie thing. I watched my friends locally like win awards or be featured somewhere, and like I was super proud of them, but I couldn't help but feel kind of envious. My friend Jin, he's making a game called Law Mage Academy, where they're like lawyers but mages, and they go to this academy and you get to pick your house and all that. It's very, very cool. And they, like, all my local friends seemed like they were, like, from my point of view, they looked like they were doing really well, while I was just kind of bummed out working on my games. So around May 2021, I couldn't take it anymore. At this point, I was so burnt out, I wanted to quit. Everything, not just the company, but making games in general. It was so exhausting and I felt like I was getting nothing out of it. Just no more games. But before I completely threw in the towel, I figured it would be at least nice to bring it up with my bosses at BoomZap. Because, they're good people. I set a meeting with them where I could openly and honestly talk about my feelings. And I was really anxious about this because, of course, you don't know how it's gonna go. But after listening to me talk, my boss completely caught me off guard. He actually encouraged me to try out being indie again, like how I was in the past, like as a kid, and to see if the grass was greener on the other side. And this really surprised me. He was just like, okay, why don't you try it out? And I was like, huh? And he followed it with, if it doesn't work out, I could always come back and I'd always have a home at BoomZap. It was one of the nicest things I've ever heard from anybody. Ever. So, my original plan after this was to take a 1-month break before trying to do my own indie thing with my own games and work on them after. But you know how things go. Life doesn't go as planned. 1 month turns to 3 months. Things happen. And it was a surprise to me because I think I was doing more life stuff. I moved out of my room. I started practicing drawing and learning how to do that. And I started the cute little merchandise thing where I would make these fan mugs of Arknight's characters. And it would look like this. Like, see? This is my family. It's very cute. Very silly doodles. And I think it was through this, by doing something I just felt like doing instead of forcing myself to doing like with games over time, I felt like I was enjoying the process of just creating, even if I wasn't the best, even if I wasn't skilled. And by learning how to draw, I was slowly killing my own perfectionism, which was such a breath of fresh air compared to the pressures of always having to make good games. I was bad at doing this, and it was okay. But these things, old habits die hard, like really hard. By August 2021, another opportunity came up called Project Piggy, or the Philippine Indie Games Initiative. This was a mentorship program for pitching and publishing independent Filipino games, starting with a prototype. So I gathered my old friends. We called ourselves Bears Downstairs. It's a cute name. And for the next few months, we started working on a game called Distant Dreams, which was not consistently worked on. As the deadline of applications approached, I was like, screw it, I'll just do what I can, I'll finish it anyway. By the time that February 2022 deadline arrived, we submitted the prototype of working title. In the same spirit of screw it, I'll do it anyway, in January 2022, just a month before the deadline, I put up my other game, Dologa, on Steam for free with the help of my friend Gwen. Like thinking about it, I wasn't even sure why I did it at the time. I just felt this need to do it. Like, it seems out of the blue in this timeline, in this story, and it really doesn't make sense, but it's going to be important later. In July of that year, my girlfriend invited me to booth with her at a convention for the first time. I was just originally like planning to help out and maybe sell some merch on the side. And that's the thing. She's a great artist. So even if my stuff wouldn't sell, I could at least help her with managing the booth and with sales. But to my surprise, like my cute little Arknights mugs sold out and people were like, "Wow, this is so cute." This was like such a liberating experience compared to my game dev life. And during the time we were boothing, I was thinking, you know, if there was something like this, but for games, that would be nice. This was in like huge contrast to like how every young game developer wants to get their game on Steam. They want to be the next Undertale, the next Toby Fox, or they want to make their whole big MMORPG by themselves. And it's nice to dream big. Like, admittedly, I was like that too when I was younger. It's good to dream big. But now, during that time, at least for the moment, I was making art, I was boothing, and I wasn't thinking about games. And I was kind of happy at the time. So after a few months of hard work under Project Piggy, the guidance of our mentor, our help with new friends, on November 12, 2022, we were able to finish the prototype and the pitch just in time for Project Piggy's final culminating activity, Pitch Day, where we won Best Pitch. Woo! Yay! And that's the thing. Not much follows after that. We didn't really end up doing much with the game. I still felt stuck. And I was back to where we were even before the mentorship program began. Which kind of begged the question, like, why did I pressure myself to do all that? I spent the next few weeks thinking about it. I felt like maybe this whole indie thing just wasn't for me. It was exhausting, we put in so much effort, and I still didn't know what to do after. We had an awesome prototype. Like, it was really, really fun. But, like, after what we experienced in Project Piggy, if that's what it's like, I couldn't really see myself running a company or managing a team and doing all those logistical work. It just felt strange to me. But, so I decided to just let it be for now. But the thing is, you can't just make something and win an award and not have any like results. So every now and then, me and my friends and me and my partner would be invited to booth at game dev conventions, and it was kind of hard for me to say no because I love boothing. I love experiencing and talking to people. In December 2022, our friend Alex from Team Goodnight, also a really good game by the way, he invited us to his hometown to sell our art and maybe even have working title on display at their local convention there. So we went to Baguio and boothed. And like, it was so different from what we were used to. It felt a whole lot smaller than what we usually have, but more intimate. Like, there were cosplayers everywhere, and it didn't feel like they were like doing their own thing. They would support each other. They would carry around tip boxes and they would give each other tips, like literally put in coins and stuff. It was so cute. And the same went for like the artists that were selling prints there. Even if you bought a print, some people would leave more tips, and that inspired us to set up the same way. We left a little tip box at our booth. So while we were selling our prints and mugs, we had a little setup where people could play working title on the side of our booth. And to our surprise, people would just play the game and chat with us for a bit and then leave a tip. It was just so different. It kind of felt like to me, hey, I can keep working on this for fun, and it didn't have to be my everything, my entire world. And the players there, they were just okay with just playing it then and there. It was just fun just there. And that's when it hit me. Maybe games don't have to be big or even done. Maybe they can just be like the little prints and stickers and knickknacks and mugs that we make without having to be on a digital storefront or making all these big announcements. At that point, I'd accepted in a way that there were no plans to working on the game the way I used to. And that what was done was done. And that was okay. I could focus on my drawing, make my cute little mugs, maybe eventually find some other job elsewhere. But unfortunately, like before, old habits died hard. And we were once again invited to exhibit working title at Conquest 2023. Now, if you've heard of Conquest, about this event, it's known as one of the worst things that happened that year. And this is not a joke. And this isn't really just a personal opinion. It was on the news for this. Like, yeah. But the indie game area was managed quite well by by the team that did it. And while we were there, I was just thinking a lot. Like, there was this new feeling. It felt like cognitive dissonance. Like, even if I'm always exhibiting at indie areas in past big game conventions, there was something that just now felt alien about it after experiencing what I did. I was asking myself questions like, why am I even here? How come art conventions could be smaller, and like how come the artists could just be less committal about it? How come independent artists had venues to just exist without thoughts of like expansion or putting it on Steam? And most importantly, why is it that for indie games, it's always that big events reach out to smaller devs and then put them on like as a side event within those events? It's just a little part instead of its own thing. So these questions were on my mind the entire event. And every now and then, people would come by the booth, play the game, and enjoy working title. It's a fun game, of course. They would also ask, oh, when is this game coming out? Where can I play it? And when is the full release? How many characters will there be? And I didn't really know how to answer that. Over the course of boothing and exhibiting the game, I answered those questions with even more questions. That why is it that with games, we always have to think of making them bigger, of getting on a store? And why is that the immediate assumption? And what does a full release even mean? So the way I responded to them after I figured it out is, this is it. You can play working title here today at Conquest. I can't promise anything about it being put online or being expanded, but while it's here, you can play it and it's fun. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a tip, you know? And I was adamant about this. Like, I didn't make any weak, like, false promises or anything. It's not getting bigger, and right now there are no plans for it. It will be what it will be, and it is what it is in the moment. And I felt that was really liberating to me. Suddenly there was so much pressure off, and I could just enjoy the game I made with my friends in all of its shortness and imperfections without projecting expectations onto it. And after responding with that answer to a lot of people who tried out the game, a lot of them were also kind of caught off guard and would laugh in amusement. And like they were like, huh, I guess that makes sense. And that's when it felt like I think I was onto something. When is a game done? Why do we expect so much from games and their devs? And why do we always force them to become commercial? Eventually, another fellow game designer approached me and asked, how are you monetizing this? And I was like, excuse me? I'm sorry? How are you monetizing this? And I was so baffled. I felt kind of insulted. And I frustratedly responded with, sorry, there are no plans to monetize this. This is what it is. What ticked me off was his even more was his response after. He was like, "Oh, that's such a waste. It looks like it can be monetized well." Like, yeah, I get it. It sounds like a compliment. The game looks good and might sell well. But when you ask that and then say that's a waste, it kind of feels devaluing especially coming from a fellow game designer. There could have been questions about the design or why we chose to approach a problem in a certain way. But you know what? His question made me think a bit more. Why would someone ask that? And what leads to someone thinking that monetization is the first thing to ask? And suddenly, I recall every game dev talk or event I've been to since high school in 2012, 11 years ago. And it was always how to monetize your game, how to get the most of your mobile audience, how to design for retention. And it's always just business. Like, I can understand why it's important and why games need to earn. But barely any talk was about fun or the actual part where you're making the game. And I think that's partially why I felt like I wanted to quit. There was no more spaces for fun. And I think this was a problem we were currently experiencing in games in the Philippines. Everything feels top down in a way. Industry, business first. The games themselves second. Big game convention provides a small space for an indie game dev, which is why we end up having to rely on those events instead of having our own space. And I don't think this is sustainable, at least culturally and in the community sense. Because if we're always working from the top, there's no strong foundation. And even if there are always going to be like incredibly skilled, talented individuals that find success, if we keep making heroes out of them and make them like the single point of how the person that would try to uplift everyone else, it's not going to be sustainable. Because if those people leave, disappear, or burn out, we'll just be making another martyr. And once again, we'll be starting from scratch. There has to be a space and community and culture that can support making games without a single breaking point. It has to be grassroots, and there has to be a venue for these smaller ventures. And I love to see this work out. Like, from my experiences from boothing as an indie art alley person, and as a cute maker of my cute little fan mugs, I experienced a lot from that and learned from it. Maybe a small indie art-like event where people can maybe pay 200 pesos for a copy of someone's indie game or leave a small tip to play like it's a public arcade. Some little tiny event that doesn't have to be tied to a big event. Or maybe, on the individual side, we need to break free from the idea that everything has to be sold. We can be hobbyists and enjoy the craft of making games and leave it at that. We can have a one boss, one level game and let people play that with no pressure to make it bigger. And maybe, just maybe, looking back, maybe that's why I put the logo up on Steam. It wasn't for like popularity or to make it sell, but it was for me in the end. Yeah. So, how does this story end? I feel like after all these experiences, I had a fresh perspective again. And I felt like I could love games again and try to take it on my own pace. With my new relationship with my passion, I figured it was time. I contacted my old mentor from Project Piggy and asked, "Hey, do you happen to have a job opening for a game designer?" And that's how I ended up at Monstronauts. And so far, I love it here, and I love working on the games. So this talk goes out to all the devs, all the designers who feel like they don't have time. The ones that feel pressured by social media. And for our younger selves that just wanted to make the next Earthbound or cool new game. To all the kids that keep thinking about branding and trying to make themselves into some sort of brand or product, you don't have to do that. It can be a goal, yes, but it's not the only way. You don't have to experience the burnout of always marketing and always selling, especially if it's something you love as a hobby. You can still choose to love making games outside of the idea of commercializing them. And sometimes you just need a break from the rush. Thank you very much. This is how I almost quit games, but you don't have to, and I didn't have to either. Thank you so much.
Wow. Javi, thank you so much for sharing that. Not only was that such a personal story, but I feel like that resonates with many, many indie developers, especially the part about finding the joy in simply the craft in making games and designing games. You know, when we try and monetize every single thing we do, when we try and turn everything into a side hustle, it can really take out so much of that joy that not only it gives us, but the joy that we allow ourselves to give others. So thank you so much for that insightful talk and for sharing your story. I'm so happy that you were able to do that for us on this platform and here at Pathfindings. To everyone who's just now joined us, we are wrapping up our third day of Pathfindings, a Global South Developer Conference aimed at showcasing and highlighting the amazing, the exceptional talent across the Global South. Today was focused on South Asia and Southeast Asia, and now we will transition into our final roundtable on Discord, which I will include a link. You are welcome to join us. Feel free to ask Minha or Javi any of your burning questions, and that's where we can deep dive into conversations, topics discussed here, and anything else you want to talk about as it relates to game development in this global industry. Thanks again to all of our amazing speakers today. We're going to wrap up our stream here. It'll still be playing in case people come by and want to join that roundtable discussion. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining us today. I would also like to take a brief moment to thank our sponsors and our supporters for really making pathfindings happen. And that is Epic Games, who has committed a 5-year support system for our pathfindings event. And then River, who's supporting us with some really awesome social media analytics as well. And to all of you for joining, for commenting, for engaging, really, really thank you. We're so happy to have you here with us and to engage. Again, feel free to join in on that round table. I just put the link in the chat. I'll do it one more time, just in case it didn't reach everyone. And we will get started with the round table. Join us tomorrow or in, I guess, 18 hours. It'll be Friday, 8 a.m. Central Time, where we will get to our last and final day of Pathfindings. Thank you all and have a wonderful time zone.